The fart was beyond disgusting. It was horrific. You are in conversation with Tarun and Celia Cherian, co-founders, Creator's Child, and Devadhara Healing. I was deep asleep in the luxury of a first AC train compartment, ensconced in sleep, when I was rudely awakened by a terrible, horrific fart from an unknown traveler above. She had let loose the silent killer, and you know what they can be like. Terrible, heavy, clawing, suffocating. And naturally, the idea of escaping out came to mind. But when I thought over it, the idea of standing out near the loo of the first AC compartment seemed even less attractive. While I did go out and open the door of the compartment for a short while, it did not make a difference. And so the first learning really is this. Sometimes in life we think of first AC being superior to third AC being superior to a second class compartment. But this fart would have dissipated in no time in the humbler second class compartment. With semi-open windows, it would have dissipated in no time. While in the greater luxury of the first class compartment, we would have to grin and bear it. And so the second thing which I did was put the sheet over my head. But the fart was a deadly one. And even there, I could not shut it out completely. And as I struggled with a sense of disgust, something struck me. For as a spiritualist, we tell everybody, you create your own reality. So remember that. Remember that you create your own reality. And then I realized, yes, I had created this reality. And therefore, at some level, there was a lesson in it for me. Well, we'd already got one lesson, which was one about the first AC luxury versus the ordinary class, and realized that in life, luxury isn't everything. As I did this act of remembering that I had called it into my life, a deeper side of myself trotted in. Along with the ego came the body consciousness. And as the body consciousness came in, it did something which was remarkable. The body consciousness doesn't look at life from the eyes of just our mere egoic frames of reference. And as it smelled the fart, suddenly it told me that the person who had farted was deeply troubled by a deep sense of guilt. For the person, while very happily married, also had a deep anguish, a deep sense of pain, for they were in love with someone else. But they would do their duty to the person they were married to. The fart had spoken of a Laila and Majnu situation, a Romeo and Juliet. And as I was reflecting on that, suddenly a memory came triggering back of a brilliant English teacher I once had in Madras. And he had written a glorious poem in the late 70s, 1970s. It was published in the Hindu newspaper. I think it was called The 75 Shades of Fart. It was wonderful. It was anarchic, it was liberating, and for us, children and teenagers, suddenly it made us see life so differently. It gave us the freedom to think and to dream. And when my mind went to him, back to him, and I haven't thought of him in decades, I suddenly felt that he was suffering somewhere, finding it difficult to breathe. And so I could do something in return for his gift of a great education. I sent him a little love, I sent him a little healing. And then as I began to listen to my deeper knowledge, my deeper selves, a further piece of knowledge came. For suddenly I realized that the person above, a woman I had not really met, was actually a brother of mine in another life. And there was a delightful little memory which came to mind where both of us were sitting near a tree by a river and he was whittling a sparrow. He was a great carver and he'd carved a kind of many creatures, including a lion. And I remember one he'd given me. And that was a delightful one of, I think, of a dog kneeling down, its butt in the air, and we'd made a great joke of how it farted. And so this fart's next gift was this, a past life. And then as my deeper selves came into being, what you may call the higher self or the higher ego, which is the one which feeds us with many of our dreams, or takes deeper knowledge and converts them into dreams, that allowed me to open up. So I was not just lying down on my bed with my sheet covered over my head. Yes, I was there too. But I was in 15 places at the same time. I was on a tree which had just whizzed past, a tree that was flowering. I was near a lake. It was very swampy and had a slight sting to it. I was also a cat prowling on an alley. And it could smell a million things and identify by smell alone where a rat was hiding. I was also on top of a hill, right on top, and there was an eagle out there, and its eagle chicks were ripping at meat, and the meat had become ripened in the sun and therefore easy for them to digest. And as my consciousness spread even further, I realized that I had become a kind of a network, an energy network that lay over hundreds and thousands of miles, square kilometers, drawing knowledge, adding to knowledge, understanding. And it was then that I realized that the incense of the fart had become sacred. It was still stinking, but it had given me so much. The fart teaches us many things. First, that there is a lesson in everything. Second, that it can reveal great secrets about health and mental well-being. Smells are also very strong cues to memories. And in fact, they can be so deep that smells can trigger past life knowledge. The fart also reveals that we have other higher selves They can use seemingly mundane or even disgusting situations to share with us greater soul knowledge. The fart reveals that we can be in many places, that our consciousness can be in several places simultaneously. And last and not least, that we're actually webs of life, not just beings cowering in tiny little spaces, but spread across the earth and spread across the cosmos, spread across eternity. One of the primary practices we tell all of our students to do is one that we share with a range of other spiritual traditions, including that of Reiki, and it is practice the attitude of gratitude. Wherever you are and no matter where you are, be grateful for where you are and what you are. And if you approach any situation with gratitude, then it will flower. It will show its true divinity. Thank you for subscribing to our channel, visiting creativechild.com, and growing with God.